I really, really just value this so much.
It's my pleasure. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, do you want to segue to what's your relationship to mushrooms? Are you okay with talking about that? Because I've been helping clients for the last 2 years microdose, and I had to go to Amsterdam to experience a deep dive because I wasn't sure, because I've been working with trauma, post-traumatic growth is my focus, and do-it-yourself mental health is my focus. And so I've been about staying out of other people's business. So as a therapist, my desire to give advice has lessened and lessened and lessened as I want to empower, empower, empower. And so that's my gig now. And so of course, when psychedelics came back around, circling back, I knew from the studies with the Zen Buddhist monks that I wasn't going to have a 30-year practice like my husband had, but I knew that they were doing studies on what psilocybin could do for the brain in the same way of opening up, and you can mimic all those new neural pathways. So when I went and experienced a deep dive, I knew instantly I wasn't willing or desirous of doing that deep healing work I've been doing at my retreat center with one-on-one using EMDR and nature as a way to move people into their post-traumatic growth place. And I wanted to accelerate people's ability. So then I decided I really am a small doser kind of gal, and I still dose to this day. I may dose for the rest of my life, but so the last couple of years I've been helping women that I coach and guide to their own truth with IFS and with integration work and with the microdosing. So, of course, when I see people, I'm going to get some mushroom garb. I mean, seriously, I think my music teacher, he'll wear his mushroom shirt, and he said, I think it's actually a lady's shirt, but I don't care, because he loved the shirt and it was so cute. Yeah.
Yes,
So
I wear them so people can come and ask me questions, because I follow Ram Dass's teaching on that. Like, I'm available to every human to the extent that they ask, because I feel like you're open to receive when you ask. So I wear it for a conversation starter, but they saved me. They absolutely saved me. I at a very young age, gosh, I let's say 17 years old, had a serious drug problem. I was addicted to crystal methamphetamine, and I did that for so long that it damaged my brain. When I got clean, there was still that damage was there to like the neurotransmitters just didn't fire the same. My reward system was not working. I graduated from college, valedictorian, didn't feel anything. Just walked across the stage, got my degree, just numbed out. I was like, this is terrible. People don't really talk about that. Like when people recover off of hard substances, that there's a lot of damage that stays. And then you see that also in people who've been long-term on antidepressants, they get PSSD. So there's those issues where these neurotransmitters, they do not fire like they used to. So around about that same time, I was realizing something's wrong and I can't feel things. I don't feel connected to my life. And I found Paul Stamets and I found yoga all at the same time. So I get in, Paul Stamets is talking about microdosing, like supplementation. Now, before that, I had started growing my own mushrooms like way back in my 20s. And because you couldn't buy them where I lived. And I was like, fine, I'll grow them. That's the type of person I am. I'm like, oh, I can't find it. I'll just do it my damn self. So
yep, yep, yep.
yeah. So I grow these things and I've got tons. I thought that some of them would get tricked, like they would get the bacteria, because I had read that, and I was like, well, I'll just make a bunch of tubs, that way if I lose some it won't be a big deal. Didn't lose any tubs. Lose a single one. The universe obviously wanted me to have these. I was like, well, everything is going splendid. So I had, gosh, like 22 pounds of these things dried, which was just immensely ridiculous. So I was like, well, what happens if you eat a bunch of them? I know that if I eat 3 grams, that feels really nice. So then I tried 5, because that thing about Terrence McKenna, he's like tried 5 dried grams in silent darkness, situation. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, 5 was a lot of fun, very different from 3. And I'm gonna put this disclaimer here. Please don't monkey see, monkey do me as I continue to tell this story. Um, I got all the way up to doing 15 grams a month, once a month, because, the neurotransmitters, you got to give them time to wash, renew. You can't just like eat mushrooms one day, eat them the next day and expect the same thing. It doesn't work like that. So I was like, once a month. I did this once a month for a year. I had fantastic experiences, but at that level, it's something else. It's something else altogether. It's it's almost like there's a book I bought and it says Inner Paths to Outer Space. That's how it felt. Because you you get this temporary paralysis like at those doses. You just lay down on the ground, kind of just there, and can't talk, didn't care. I was gone. My brain is somewhere else doing lots of things. But what I noticed is when I come back from these, I could feel. I could feel life. I could connect with other people. I could feel accomplishments. It's like something's happening. And that's when I found Paul Stamets, and he was talking about taking micro doses below the threshold of an experience. And I paired them with lion's mane mushroom and the niacinamide to flush through the whole system like he asked. I
Mhm.
did that for a year and a half. My reading comprehension increased.
Mhm.
I could retain. I was My brain was doing more than it could do before I had the drug problem. So I was like, oh my gosh, like this is wild. Like I'm experiencing like cognition growth like you would expect from like, someone crossing over from childhood, adolescence, like that kind of, but I was experiencing it like in my 30s. I
Mhm.
was reading things like medical journals and things like that, and I could understand it. I could annotate it. I could, get a summation. I was like, whoa, 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 this is amazing. So this is really helpful to my present day life where I read these sex science books and relationship science books, and I have this high retention and a very clear understanding of what I'm looking at. And then I can put the points together, because somebody was like, oh, you just read these books and then you help people. I'm like, yeah, to me it's like I have the intention of helping people connect, and I read the book through the lens of that intention. How can what I'm reading help people connect with each other? So it's like the yoga teaches me to set the intention, but the mushrooms help me make the connection. It's almost like I was reading the other day about how mushrooms wrap the mycelial fibers around roots of plants and help them absorb nutrients out of the soil. And without this, plants would not have been able to evolve. So I think about that as the mushroom in my body doing the same thing. These mycelial fibers are helping me absorb nutrients from my environment. I am better with them, working in unison with them.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Nice metaphor. I can get inside that.
Right? They
Yeah.
do. They just help me see better, connect better. And I don't see it as like I've experienced substance abuse. It definitely is not
Oh,
um
I know.
at all.
I totally quit doing absolutely anything that would interfere with my ability to receive whatever is coming to me. I want to feel it all because
Yeah.
when I would smoke a little weed here and there after I was microdosing for quite a while, it locks me down right there. And then I stay there and it stops the flow.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
I stopped drinking coffee.
I stopped liking that stoppage. You know,
Yeah.
I was like, no, 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 no. I'd rather feel every nuance of everything. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. That's fascinating. The language you're using because it was James Fadiman, he said from his citizen science, the remarkable results of microdosing, he said, of all the benefits, and he's listing 1 million benefits to microdosing, when he got to it improves your self-care.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that has been 100% plus true for me in my self-care. It's through the roof. It's just wonderful what it's
Yes.
helped me come back to myself in so many ways. And yeah, I'm with you. It's created just wonderful things. And so I know there's a specific audience out there who wants to hear what I'm about to release in a free training and that kind of stuff, but I have to convince them first, like you started talking about. I have to convince them that they abandon themselves.
Yes.
You know how you have to kind of come to grips with what do people need to be told in order for them to create any interest in what I'm selling. And so if I have to first, when I asked my grandson, is it the microdosing? Is it the work of Byron Katie that I've been doing? Is it the IFS? What is it that's changed me into a better person in your opinion? And he kept saying no, and would stop me. He's only 22 years old, but he's like, finally, he said, it's introspection. That's what's helped me change 5 different new people over the last 5 years since my husband died. And he said, it's your ability to self-rescue. And so that is on the continuum of self-abandonment, in my opinion. And so learning to name what's self-abandoning or self-harming versus I want to do less of that, and then I want to do more of the nurture and coming home to self and self-rescue. And he thanks me all the time for self-rescuing, because then he doesn't worry about me.
Yes. Yes. And that's beautiful, because then he can believe in you, which is much more empowering. Like, worry, it's so dangerous for relationships to worry, because that's just a form of control. And then you feel like, people around you don't believe in you when they worry.
Well, the 4 tendencies, if you've ever heard of that book, it kind of breaks people out into, I'm a questioner, of course, and I can end up in analysis paralysis. That's the downside of being a questioner. But he's what's called an upholder, and that means he gives a shit what other people want from him and meeting their expectations. And then he also cares what he himself wants for himself. So he's always on full radar for what's happening with the people he loves. And so I understand his tendency. And so then I'm sort of like, I'm good. We live on the same 20-acre retreat center, but here, because I invited him to be part of my communal living kind of idea, and so it's awesome. But I can let him be a caring person in my life, but he doesn't have to take care of me, because I am really getting good at taking care of myself. And that's because I come home to myself.